company that Charlie Kirk started 13 years ago when he was just 18 years old. Turning Point USA has a new leader tonight, his wife, Erika. That announcement coming just days before tens of thousands are expected to attend Kirk's memorial service in Arizona. Our Alex Capriello has the very latest for us tonight out west. Alex?
Yeah, the folks at Turning Point USA referenced several conversations that they say Charlie Kirk had with other organization executives where he expressly stated that if anything, God forbid, should ever happen to him, that he wanted his wife, Erika Kirk, to take the reins and take it to the promised land, so to speak. And Erika Kirk is promising to do just that on behalf of Charlie and everything that he spent his entire life building up to do. She said so much in an audience address to a massive audience in the days after Kirk's funeral, also speaking, in a way, directly to him. Take a listen.
Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise.
And Erika Kirk will continue that legacy by speaking at Charlie Kirk's funeral on Sunday, speaking alongside as well President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. The fact that those two, along with other Trump cabinet members, will be in attendance is the reason that we're going to see heightened security at State Farm Stadium right there in Glendale, Arizona. The Department of Public Safety is issuing this, and they're calling it a SEER Level 1 event, which is a designation used for events of the highest national significance, which allows the most federal resources when it comes to law enforcement to be activated. As for the outside, that's up to Glendale PD. They're also activating several hundreds officers as well. Blake?
And as you can see behind Alex, still more than a week after this assassination, folks there in Utah showing up to that memorial. Our Alex Capriello live tonight with the latest there. Alex, thank you. Joining us now, the Republican congressman from the great state of North Carolina, Congressman Mark Harris, a Republican, back with us once again here on the Hill. Congressman, thanks for being with us tonight. The news coming out of Turning Point USA today that Erika Kirk will now lead that organization. The organization saying that Charlie Kirk had planned this in case there was the God forbid. I wonder what you make of where Turning Point USA is able to take things from here with Erika Kirk now at the helm.
Well, first of all, Blake, thank you for having me on this evening. And listen, I think this is a stellar decision by the board and all of those that were involved, following through on Charlie's desires that he had stated. But even more than that, Erika has proven herself already. The poise that she demonstrated in days just after the political assassination, how she was able to take to the microphone and share the vision, share the passion that she had for what a difference this ministry really and this movement had brought was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that when you see what's happening across the country, listen, this has been the awakening of a sleeping giant, perhaps, that I'm really beginning to see take shape back in my district and across the country.
I know that you were miking up for us, Congressman, so you might not have heard what Chuck Schumer had to say as the ongoing debate around Jimmy Kimmel continues. He said using the tragic death of Kirk as an excuse to supercharge the political whip is abhorrent, obnoxious, and as un-American as it gets. Here was the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, today. He said of the decision and Brendan Carr, quote, he has disgraced the office he holds by bullying ABC, the employer of Jimmy Kimmel, and forcing the company to bend the knee to the Trump administration. Brendan Carr, Hakeem Jeffries says, should resign immediately. What would your response be to the two Democratic leaders up there in Washington on the Hill?
Well, I would simply say to them that they don't think much of ABC or they don't think of the people that made this decision, but I have to think that this was a business decision as much as anything. When you look at ratings that are falling, when you look at really the public that has repudiated in many ways the kind of leadership that Kimmel has seemed to produce. I mean, I don't watch the show and haven't watched it and don't know that much about it, but I would say that when I see the statements that he's made and the way he has carried himself, the American people with ratings have a way of speaking. And I think that when companies have to make decisions, they're oftentimes business decisions. We saw something happen earlier with another late night program as well. So I think that you've got to allow these companies to do what they need to do. And I think that's what took place in this situation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.